We should hang out sometime. I'm happy for you.
No, I don't mind. That's such an interesting idea. And, of course, I have read and accepted the terms and conditions. Human civilization is held together by millions of tiny lies. Most of them are harmless. Some are even kind. You tell your friend the haircut looks good because the hair is already gone. You laugh at your boss's joke because rent is due. You tell the waiter the food is fine while quietly chewing something with the texture of a bicycle seat. We call this being polite. But how much of your personality is actually politeness? How many of your opinions were chosen because they were safe? How many times have you pretended to enjoy something because everyone else did? And how many parts of yourself have you hidden not because they were bad, but because you were afraid they would make you harder to like? At some point, you built a version of yourself for other people. It smiles at the right moments. It says the right things. It knows which opinions are acceptable, which photos are flattering, and exactly how long to wait before replying so it doesn't look desperate. And if you wear that version for long enough, something strange happens. You stop asking whether other people know the real you. You start wondering whether you do.
Japan has two useful words for this problem, honne and tatemae. Honne is what you really feel, your private thoughts, desires, frustrations, and opinions. Tatemae is what you present in public, the behavior expected by society, your role, or the situation you are in. Imagine a Japanese office worker sitting through a presentation from his manager. The manager points at a graph that makes absolutely no sense and asks, "What do you think?" His honne says, "I think this graph was designed by a confused toaster." His tatemae says, "That is a very interesting perspective. Perhaps we could explore another approach." The first answer may be honest. The second answer allows him to remain employed. People sometimes describe tatemae as fake, dishonest, or two-faced, but that misses why it exists. Japanese communication traditionally places great value on maintaining harmony, reading the situation, and avoiding unnecessary embarrassment. Tatemae can prevent a private feeling from becoming a public conflict. It gives everyone a way to leave an uncomfortable moment with their dignity still attached. And this is not uniquely Japanese. Japan simply gave the two faces names. Every culture separates private feelings from public behavior. The words change, the mask does not. An American employee calls it being professional. A British person says, "That's quite brave," when they mean, "This is a disaster." A family says, "Let's not ruin dinner," and then passes the potatoes over 30 years of unresolved resentment. Different countries, same theater. You are probably not the same person everywhere. There is the version of you that speaks to your parents, the version that speaks to your closest friend, the version that speaks during a job interview, the version that speaks to a customer service chatbot after it asks for the 5th time whether your problem has been solved. These versions are not necessarily fake. They may all be real parts of you. A person can be quiet at work and loud with friends, serious with family, and ridiculous with a partner. That is not hypocrisy. Human beings adapt to context. We reveal ourselves in layers because complete honesty, all the time, would be unbearable. Imagine if everyone said exactly what they thought. "Good morning." "No, it isn't. I slept 4 hours, and your chewing makes me angry." Society would last until approximately 9:17 a.m. So the mask is not the enemy. The problem begins when you no longer control it, when you are not adapting your behavior to the situation, but rebuilding yourself around the approval of everyone watching. And then humanity invented the perfect machine for that: social media. Before the internet, your public self had limited working hours. You performed at school, at work, at dinner, or around people you wanted to impress. Then you went home. The audience disappeared. The mask could come off. Now the audience lives in your pocket. It can watch you while you eat breakfast, exercise, travel, cry, recover from crying, and post a carousel explaining what the crying taught you about personal growth. Your profile is no longer just a place where you share your life. It is the reception desk for your personality. Your photo says, "This is what I look like." Your bio says, "This is how I would like to be categorized." Your posts say, "This is the life I would like you to believe I live." And the platform gives you instant performance reviews. Likes, views, shares, follows. For most of human history, social approval was vague. You had to read facial expressions, tone of voice, invitations, rumors, and whether people suddenly became busy when you entered the room. Now, approval has a number. You post a joke, 12 likes. You post a fashionable opinion, 400 likes. The lesson is immediate. Be less like the first person. Be more like the second. The algorithm does not force you to become fake. It does something more effective. It rewards the parts of you that perform well and quietly buries the rest. This changes more than what we post. It changes what we do before we post it. You stop choosing the restaurant with the best food and start choosing the restaurant with the best lighting. You do not watch the concert. You record evidence that you attended it. You visit a beautiful place, turn your back to the view, and spend 20 minutes photographing your face in front of it. You buy things not only because you want them, but because they fit the person you are constructing. The book placed carefully beside the coffee. The gym photo taken before the workout. The laptop opened beside a swimming pool because nothing communicates freedom like pretending to answer emails on vacation. Even rebellion comes with a recommended font now. Eventually, you are not documenting a life, you are producing one. And production requires editing. Bad days are removed. Boring days are removed. Unflattering angles are removed. Failure appears only after it has been transformed into an inspiring lesson with soft piano music. The result may contain real events, but it is not reality. It is a trailer, and everyone watching compares their unedited life to everyone else's trailer. Of course, people eventually became tired of perfection. They asked for something authentic, something vulnerable, something real. So, the performance adapted. Now the camera is placed on the floor. The lighting is softer. The makeup is called no makeup. The speaker looks away, takes a breath, and says, "I wasn't going to share this." They absolutely were going to share this. The video has captions, 3 camera angles, background music, and a discount code for protein powder. Authenticity is now available in portrait mode. This does not mean every emotional post is fake. People can genuinely connect through honest stories online. Research has even found that more authentic self-expression on social media is associated with better well-being. But the internet creates a new paradox. The moment authenticity becomes valuable, people learn how to imitate it. Messiness becomes an aesthetic. Vulnerability becomes a content strategy. Being yourself becomes another role you can audition for. The mask no longer needs to look perfect. It only needs to look convincingly imperfect. Pretending has an obvious reward. People may like you more. You avoid conflict. You fit into the group. You receive invitations, compliments, likes, promotions, and the small comfort of knowing that nobody is currently angry with you. But the reward has a hidden condition. They are rewarding the performance. If everyone knows you as cheerful, you become afraid to be sad. If everyone knows you as successful, every failure becomes a secret. If everyone knows you as agreeable, one honest no feels like betrayal. If thousands of people admire your life, admitting that you hate it becomes almost impossible. You may be surrounded by approval and still feel unseen, because the thing being seen is not quite you. And this creates a particularly modern kind of loneliness. Not the loneliness of having nobody around, the loneliness of being surrounded by people who know your character, but not the actor. So you keep performing, not because you enjoy lying, because telling the truth now feels like disappointing everyone who believed the story. There is another problem with wearing a mask for too long. Your behavior does not only convince other people, it also teaches you who you are. If you repeatedly laugh at things you dislike, agree with opinions you doubt, and hide emotions that seem inconvenient, your private self receives a message. These parts of me are unacceptable. So you stop expressing them. Then you stop examining them. Eventually, you may stop recognizing them. You open a streaming app and cannot choose anything without checking reviews. You look at clothes and imagine how other people would react before asking whether you like them. You form an opinion, then immediately search for the approved version of it. You are free to choose. You just need an audience to tell you what you want. This is where Tatemae stops being social courtesy and becomes self-erasure. The public face was supposed to protect the private one. Instead, it replaced it. So what is the solution? Radical honesty? Tell your friends every annoying thing they do? Inform strangers that their baby looks like an angry potato? Add your boss to a group chat called People We Secretly Hate. Please do not do this. Honesty without empathy is often just cruelty with good branding. You do not need to destroy every mask. You need to know why you are wearing it. Are you being polite because another person's feelings matter? Or agreeable because rejection terrifies you? Are you keeping something private because it belongs to you? Or hiding it because you believe the real you is unlovable? Are you posting because the moment meant something? Or creating the moment because you need something to post? The difference is not always visible from outside, but you usually feel it inside. One is a choice. The other is a cage with excellent lighting. Japan's Honne and Tatemae do not describe two separate people, one real and one fake. They describe a tension every human being carries, the desire to belong and the desire to remain ourselves. Too much Honne and we become selfish, reckless, and unnecessarily cruel. Too much Tatemae and we become pleasant strangers living inside our own lives. The goal is not to walk through the world emotionally naked. It is to keep at least a few places where the performance can end. A friend you do not have to impress. A room that does not need to be photographed. An opinion you can examine before announcing it. A hobby you are bad at and never monetize. A moment that happens without becoming content. And perhaps, occasionally, the courage to let someone dislike the real answer. Because if every decision is made to keep everyone happy, one person is always excluded from the calculation. You. The mask is not the problem. Everyone needs one sometimes. The problem begins when everyone loves the mask, and you can no longer remember the face underneath. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, subscribe, and help me become the highly optimized online bird I was always meant to pretend to be.